Welcome to Stepdad Success, turning the tide on the way stepdads are seen and show up in the world. We're a new breed of leaders raising leaders. Blood or no blood, we raise them as our own. We're connected, loving, and committed to leading them into the future. If you asked a normal dad, he'd say we're doing the impossible. He'd say, but they're not yours. How do you do it? Yet every day, stepdads around the world are forging the way. That's what we call Stepdad Success. We're leaders raising leaders. And these are our stories. Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of Stepdad Success. It's awesome to kick this off and to have you here, and if you're a brand new stepdad or you've been one for decades, the purpose of this podcast is to open up the conversation and create a place where we can all have a little bit more stepdad success. This being the first episode, I'll be outlining the big why behind Stepdad Success and how it's come about. I'll give a little of my backstory and I'll also go into what we'll be discussing here on the show. To be honest, the big reason and the passion here are the kids, and more so, how we can lead our kids while being the best leaders we can to support that. But it all begins with us. We must be empowered so we can empower others. And as stepdads, we operate in a unique position in the whole conversation around parenting, and there simply hasn't been an outlet for the conversation. Sure, I know there are a number of blended family conversations and websites around, mostly run by the female community, but there just hasn't been a dedicated place for stepdads to truly connect about their unique situations, the conversations, the problems and issues that we face. So, I'll be interviewing stepdads and opening up perspectives on expanding our lives while raising the next generation of leaders. I'll be kicking off the podcast with daily episodes. These will be more tactical, kind of a 5 to 10 minute story and strategy type of session. It's things that you can implement straight away on your journey to having it all. And on the weekends, I'll be doing interviews. These will be more conversational and dive deeper into the real life challenges that stepdads just like you and me are facing day to day. So to kick it off, I better introduce myself. My name's James Klobassa and I'm an Australian. I live on the amazing Sunshine Coast of Australia and I'm a stepdad to two young boys, Che and Indy. And they're 8 and 10 years old and they're awesome. I'm also the husband to their gorgeous mum Leonie and they came into my life around 2010. As I mentioned, I believe kids are precious and they deserve the best chance possible, whether they're our own blood or not. That belief came about from experiencing a rough childhood and not having kids of my own because of that, and then becoming a stepdad to two awesome boys. I'm proud to call myself their stepdad, yet I still struggle daily with the little and big things. Being a stepdad is a game of constant improvement. So I'm not here to tell you that I've got it all together or that I have all the answers. Quite the opposite. I have my faults and I'll be sharing these along the way. I just know that we can all improve, and it's our duty to become leaders, not just in dealing with the kids or their mums or the other parents involved, but also in the rest of our lives. From my early 20s, I became a professional water skier and I travelled the world for 10 years competing and putting on shows like SeaWorld. I lived in Australia for half the year and elsewhere for half the year. And sports, especially professional sports, it teaches you a lot about yourself, but it teaches you nothing about being a stepdad. After that, I got into the online business world. My skill was in simplifying and scaling businesses, launching new products, and after mentoring hundreds of business owners, I realized that even though I've helped my clients make tens of millions of dollars online, that it didn't really help me with being a stepdad either. So as time progressed, the shine of selling money faded, and as Steve Jobs famously said, are you going to continue selling lolly water or come and help us change the world? I realized that making more money wasn't really what I was put here to do. Kids needed better role models. And that's when I was talking to Leonie about it all, and she said, well, if not you, then who? So I guess I've started this podcast selfishly so I could learn more, so I could become a better stepdad, so I had a community of people all in the same situation to talk to discuss the challenges with and bounce ideas off. But at the same time, I've started it so I could become a better leader and raise two great leaders in our boys. So how about you? If not you, then who? Whether you're a new, stepdad or a long-time stepdad, don't you think you could become a better leader as well? I grew up in a really rough household and I couldn't say I've had the best example of a leader to uphold. So I needed a place where I could become, more and be surrounded by other leaders. So now, along with me, you're a part that's rewriting how stepdads are seen. A new breed of stepdad. We're leaders raising leaders. So where's that take us? Well, to have a success across the board, it takes being your best, not just in business or sports, but in your body, in your being, or your spiritual side. Your balance around family and in relationships, and also in business. So there's 4 B's that we have to talk through. Waking up to one's full potential and fulfilling his destiny, you can't falter in any one area. You have to rise as one. And as leaders raising leaders, fulfilling our destiny is creating a life with all the fruit. And that takes thriving across the board, not just being a good stepdad. So let's talk about these 4 areas a little. And let's kick it off with body. A man must be at his best to grow. He's got to be at his best to lead and ultimately produce for his family and community. And you can't do that if your body's falling apart. This segment's driven by discipline. And without it, a man is at the mercy of everything around him and, in the form of greed, gluttony and sloth. Given a chance, a lazy man will eat too much, drink too much, and then lay on the couch all day watching football. And we're not about that here. So discipline will be on the list of discussions, along with the science behind being your best in this department. Yes, there is a science behind Stepdad Success, and it all begins with the body. Next up is being. Call it your spiritual side, wisdom or instinct. Knowing your guiding voice, being able to hear it, understand it, and act on it gives you certainty, clarity, and even more power. And we'll be discussing how to refine our instincts to a point where confidence and power becomes your friend, not your foe. We'll dive into meditation and the spiritual elements of being, and give actionable steps around how to increase this side of you. To be clear, I'm not a spiritual guy. I don't go to church or anything like that, yet I have nothing against it. This isn't about what religion you are. I don't care if you're Buddhist or Hindu or Christian or anything else. I simply believe that there's something bigger that is guiding me. Call it instinct or source. I don't care what you call, the thing that guides you, but you have to know how to tap into that daily and draw power from it. Knowing your way is the true power behind everything. And once you're able to access this on call, you'll be able to deal with all the challenges you face and more. Next up, there's balance. And this begins with ourselves. And that's where integrity comes into the mix. If we can't be our word to ourselves, we can't be it for anyone else. Balance is all about having amazing relationships. Firstly with yourself and then with your family. This is all built on integrity and doing the little things that most men forget about over time. Creating amazing relationships at home with your wife and your stepkids will make everything worthwhile. And making daily deposits here will amplify everything. We'll talk more about those daily deposits along the way. So many men think money is the beginning. And as someone that's been very successful in this department, I know that with family around you, and when the family is 100% behind you, the money comes easily and is able to create prosperity. Everything gets better when your balance is in order. And we'll be discussing, more of how to do that, more of how to, align everything in your relationships on the podcast. Then last up, and this is where most men go wrong by putting this first, is business. When your body and your being and your balance is working for you, business becomes easy. It's a given. It's process. Yet there are a lot of things to learn here also. From a poor foundation, nothing can thrive. Yet when a man is at his best across the first 3 areas, he can provide service to others in a way that no other man can. This then becomes a key component in his leadership of others. As mentioned, I've learned how to build big businesses online, and you may be very successful in this department as well. But if it's the only thing you're good at, it's bound to come all tumbling down. So, I see so many men lose it all, to a broken marriage. And yet, I've watched so many expand it all through having the other 3 areas in check. So, they must all thrive and expand together. Yes, the have it all dream's possible. I've seen it, I've experienced it, and it's an incredible thing. So we'll be going deep on business building and becoming profitable, but we'll be going deep on all 4 areas. Okay, so we're close to wrapping this up, but let me just say, there is a better way, and we can choose to break the mold right now. Our past doesn't have to be repeated. Our faults and failures don't have to determine our future or our children's. And as stepdads, we're the only opportunity for our kids. As I mentioned, if not you, then who? So I welcome you and invite you in becoming a success dad. The new breed of stepdad, expanding and thriving across the board in body, being, balance and business. We're leaders raising leaders. And I welcome you on this journey. Hey, thanks for listening. Stay tuned. All the discussions here will deepen and serve you in having it all in your life. And thanks again. This has been James Klobasser, and I look forward to getting to know you further. And don't forget, if you'd like to appear on the podcast, head over to www.stepdadsuccess.com and drop me an email. Would you like to learn more about how stepdads across the globe are joining forces in raising the next generation of leaders? Then head to www.stepdadsuccess.com and grab all the show notes plus a copy of the brand new tactical guide for creating more happiness, health, wealth, and wisdom as a stepdad. And if you liked the podcast, please share it with other stepdads you know and leave us a review on iTunes. Again, that's www.stepdadsuccess.com for all the show notes and tactical guide. Come and join the new breed of stepdads, the growing group of leaders raising leaders.